You might believe it takes months, even years of visualization, discipline, and healing to alter your reality. That real transformation must be earned through endurance and long struggle. That alignment only appears once you've mastered every teaching and perfected every practice. But what if the genuine shift, the true quantum leap, unfolds in a moment so subtle most never even notice it? There's a secret rhythm, invisible to the ordinary mind, that always shows itself right before someone's life changes completely. It's not when they push harder, not when they do more, but when something within them goes still, stops forcing, stops doubting, stops chasing. That's when the field responds. In this video, we'll reveal the exact vibration that triggers a quantum shift, and why simplicity is the one thing the ego fears most. You'll learn the energetic precision that outweighs all strategy, the signals that show you're about to cross timelines, and why breakdown isn't collapse, it's initiation. But first, let's explore something you've felt yet never named: the resistance to ease. That instant when life begins to flow and fear creeps in. That instant when your soul knows but your mind demands evidence. You felt that pull, the tension between inner clarity and survival instinct. We live in a culture obsessed with struggle. Effort is celebrated. Complexity is worshipped. If it feels too easy, it must be wrong. If it comes too naturally, it must be unearned. Yet the quantum field doesn't care about how hard you try. It answers to your clarity, to the purity of your signal, and clarity lives in simplicity. The challenge is that simplicity threatens the false identity. Because if it's simple, what was all the pain for? If it's simple, who are you without the constant fixing, proving, striving? Simplicity dissolves the drama, and when the drama disappears, so does your disguise. That's why many unknowingly sabotage their own evolution, not from brokenness, but from fear of how silent truth really is. They expect thunder and get stillness. They hope for fireworks, but the field offers quiet. Yet inside that quiet is where the shift breathes. The quantum field always reflects. It doesn't wait for your next affirmation. It resonates with who you already are. And the instant you stop forcing and simply become, the mirror changes. You stop needing the outer to confirm the inner. You stop tuning yourself to your conditions. Instead, you hold your note, steady, clear, unwavering. That's the difference between manifesting and shifting. Manifesting tries to create from absence. Shifting is embodying the version of you already alive in another now. The only divider between you and that reality is your frequency lens, not time, not effort, only energy. So, let me ask, what if your transformation isn't difficult, just unfamiliar? What if you've been thinking your way into change instead of feeling your way there? And what if your real obstacle isn't the world around you, but your attachment to complexity itself? In the next part of this journey, we'll uncover why most people can't stabilize their signal, and how unseen blind spots create static the universe can't translate. You'll learn the subtle ways you resist your own resonance, and how to start transmitting from a place the cosmos can finally receive. Let's keep moving forward, because this simplicity, it's not small, it's the portal itself, and once you feel it, reality rearranges. If the quantum shift is truly this simple, then why do so few ever embody it? Why does it seem like some invisible force keeps looping you through the same emotions even when you know better? Why do results stall the moment you get close? It's because simplicity asks for something far deeper than effort. It asks for awareness. And awareness without the buffer of complexity can feel terrifying. When things are complicated, you can blame the tools, the practice, the path. But when it's simple, there's nowhere left to hide. The light turns inward and one question echoes. Am I actually ready to shift? Let's start with the main thing that blocks people from holding the right signal: blind spots. These aren't flaws. They're patterns too familiar to notice, emotional reflexes you've normalized. Stories repeated so often they've hardened into truth. But here's the secret. The quantum field doesn't answer what you want. It mirrors what you are. So while your mind is picturing abundance, your energy might still hum with scarcity. Not because you're doing it wrong, but because you've never examined your baseline signal. Feel into that for a second. What do you broadcast when no one's watching? What's the emotional weather inside you when you're not doing the work? That's your true frequency. That's what the field hears, and here comes the first mastery: self-awareness. Not just reflection or journaling, but awareness that witnesses thought as it arises, without fixing, without judgment. Awareness that notices when you act from survival and gently chooses not to collapse. The next evolution is harder. radical responsibility. This is where your frequency begins to purify itself. It's not about self-blame. It's about owning every vibration you emit, especially the ones you'd rather deny. When you shift from "why is this happening to me" to "what is this showing me about my signal," the field responds instantly. Victimhood is loud but incoherent. Ownership is quiet but magnetic. Then comes the amplifier, accountability states. These are the energetic anchors you return to no matter what the world mirrors back. Most people wait for life to confirm their vibration. Quantum shifters hold it steady until life must align. Accountability means honoring your state even when it's uncomfortable, even when logic mocks you, even when progress seems invisible. And then comes the final paradox, the art of detachment from perception. We're conditioned to judge everything. This is good. That is bad. This means I'm close. That means I've failed. But what if your lowest point is actually the final stage before the breakthrough? What if what feels like a breakdown is just your old frequency collapsing under its own weight? Detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop labeling. You let the moment move through you without assigning it a verdict, because the quantum field isn't linear. The darkest phase may be the exact calibration the light requires to land. You're not only learning to think differently, you're learning to hold your vibration as if it were truth itself, and that takes courage. It's easier to distract yourself with mantras and methods. It's harder to sit in stillness and admit, I've been looping because I'm still filtering life through old stories. The quantum shift isn't complicated, but it is surgical. It slices straight through illusion. It reveals the parts of you still addicted to chaos for a sense of aliveness and asks, will you let them rest now? In the next phase, we'll explore that strange energetic tension that builds right before a true shift, the moment when your old identity begins to crumble and your new timeline draws near. Most people mistake this for failure. But if you know what to sense, you'll realize it's the threshold of transformation. Stay close, because what comes next is where the old timeline dissolves and your authentic frequency begins. There's a moment, subtle, disorienting, and often misread, that almost always appears before a quantum leap. It's the space where the old timeline loosens, yet the new one hasn't fully anchored. You feel suspended, standing in the hallway between two realities. The past no longer fits. The future is still forming, and every part of you wants to do something. But the truth is, you're right on the edge. This space is sacred, though it rarely feels that way. It shows up as confusion, exhaustion, misalignment, even despair. You might think you're failing, that your clear vision is fading, that your path is disappearing. And if you don't understand what's happening, you'll misread it as a sign to turn back, to shrink, to push harder, or worst of all, to doubt yourself. But here's the truth. This isn't collapse. It's calibration. Before every quantum jump, your field must release its current pattern of coherence. Think of it like detuning from one radio station before locking into another. There's static in between. That static feels like disorientation, like emotional noise, like the impulse to run, but it isn't danger. It's initiation. The old frequency simply can't sustain your next chapter. That's why it seems like everything's unraveling. What's really happening is this. The energy that held your old identity together is dismantling. The beliefs, habits, and energetic loops that defined you are losing their charge. And when that charge fades, the ego loses its grip. So it panics. It stirs fear, doubt, restlessness, not because you failed, but because it's fighting to keep its place in the loop. This is the moment where most people quit, not because the field denies them, but because they mistake the friction of transformation for failure itself. The truth is, when everything feels unstable, you're close. When things seem uncertain, you're almost there. Because what you're really sensing is your frequency releasing everything that no longer matches your next level. This is why detachment becomes essential. If you judge this in between too early, you'll assign it a story that drags you backward. You'll call it wrong. You'll label it stuck. You'll take it as proof that nothing's changing. And the moment you do, you reinforce the old signal again. But if you can stay centered, not through effort, but through awareness, something subtle begins to shift underneath. The noise softens. The edges blur. You start to feel your way forward instead of forcing. That's when you become magnetic, not from trying, but from no longer leaking energy through resistance. Right before the shift, Your nervous system is learning how to hold more voltage, and that power doesn't come from force. It comes from coherence. When you can stay present inside uncertainty without defining it, your entire field starts to organize around your calm. That's the moment the quantum replies. So what do you actually do in that space? Nothing, at least not in the usual sense. This isn't the time to fix, push, or prove. It's the time to tune. Breathe into the unease. Watch the thoughts. Loosen your timeline. Your job isn't to make a new reality, it's to become available for it. That's the real shift. Not control, but surrender to the vibration that already holds the outcome. Next, we'll explore exactly how the field reads your signal and why what you think you're sending may not be what it's actually receiving. We'll also uncover how to clear your resonance so you can align with the version of life already waiting in the quantum. You don't need to try harder. You just need to hold your tone when nothing makes sense, especially then. That's when the doorway opens. That's when reality bends. That's when your shift becomes inevitable. Let's talk about signals. You've probably heard that the quantum field responds to frequency, not language. But here's what most overlook. Your energy is always broadcasting, whether you mean it to or not. And what's transmitting isn't your intention. It's your embodiment. You can declare you're ready. You can journal, affirm, meditate, visualize every detail of your dream timeline. But if beneath it all your signal hums with fear, pressure, or doubt, that is what the field mirrors. Because the quantum doesn't hear words. It reflects resonance, so what does that mean? It means your inner state is your strategy. Your nervous system is the tuner that shapes your world. And coherence, that deep, steady harmony between thought, emotion, and energy, is the signature the field listens to. Coherence doesn't demand perfection. It asks for presence. Think of it like finding a radio station. If you're even slightly off the dial, all you hear is static, moments of sound, fragments of melody, but never the full song. The same goes for your energy. When your frequency is split, wanting but not trusting, asking but not allowing, speaking but not feeling, the transmission gets scrambled, and incoherence only gets one reply from the field. Delay. That's why quantum shifting isn't about doing more, it's about clearing the signal. And clearing doesn't mean suppressing emotion, it means integrating it. It means owning your energy so completely that there's no gap between what you intend and what you embody. But here's the twist. Most people try to force coherence. They attempt to think their way into a feeling, analyzing every vibration, over-processing every block, managing their inner world like it's a task list. But coherence doesn't arise from control. It's born from surrender. You can't fake resonance. You can't reason your way into magnetic alignment. You feel your way there by softening into the truth of who you already are. So what generates that level of resonance? Clarity, stillness, honesty, the decision to embody what you desire before it arrives, not as a performance, not as denial, but as calm certainty. This is the frequency the quantum responds to. I already am. I already hold. I already resonate, not because it's visible, but because it's true. And this is the exact moment your field begins to shift, not through effort or striving, but through attunement. When your nervous system learns to trust your own frequency, it stabilizes. And when your signal stabilizes, reality finally has something consistent to organize around. So here's the turning point. Comment, I am the shift. Let it be your anchor, not as a declaration to the universe, but as acknowledgement of what already exists within you. Say it not to persuade, but to confirm. Because when you speak from embodiment, the field listens, and when the field listens, reality responds. Now let's decode the actual mechanics of how this works, how the field mirrors your energy, how attention acts as the selector, how coherence becomes command, and why effort is the least effective way to create change. You don't shift reality, you shift into the version of yourself that already lives. There in that shift, it begins now that you've tasted the truth of coherence and the strength of resonance. It's time to see how the quantum field truly reacts. If you've ever wondered why some intentions manifest instantly while others drift in possibility, here's why. The field doesn't reward desire, it mirrors your dominant frequency. And that frequency is ruled by one thing: where your attention consistently lives. Let's break it open. The quantum field is infinite. Every version of you already exists within it. Every possible outcome is encoded, waiting, not to be created but to be observed. Quantum mechanics calls it the observer effect. Particles remain in potential until they're focused on, until attention collapses, wave into form. Which means your focus isn't passive, it's constructive. It determines which version of reality steps forward. That's why quantum shifting isn't about control, it's about selection. Selecting with focus, then stabilizing that choice through your state. Most people don't realize their attention is scattered. They think abundance in the morning, fear lack by afternoon, and fall asleep in doubt. That's not alignment, it's noise. The field doesn't punish that chaos, it simply mirrors it. That's why results feel delayed, scrambled, or incomplete. But when your focus becomes a laser, when you hold your vision without chasing, needing, or doubting, something extraordinary happens. The potential timeline begins to organize itself around you. People, resources, synchronicities, even tiny decisions all start to align, not through pushing but through entrainment, through resonance. You're not forcing reality to change. You're merging with the version that already matches your vibration. But here's the subtle truth almost no one teaches. You don't shift through thought alone, you shift through identity. Your thoughts may desire the shift, but your subconscious identity, the deep, unspoken emotional signature you operate from, might still be tuned to the old frequency. And if that's true, the field won't mirror your thoughts, it will mirror your identity. This is where the inner work becomes sacred, not as a task, but as a returning. Each time you bring yourself back into coherence, not to fix, but to remember, you strengthen a new identity, not one you're striving to become, but one that already lives within you, waiting for permission to lead. So ask yourself, who are you being right now? Not in performance, not in effort, but in tone, in truth, in stillness, because that version of you, the one already living the life you've been, visualizing isn't waiting, it's available, and you don't reach for it, you receive it. In our final chapter, we'll crystallize this journey. You'll learn to embody quantum shifting not as something you do, but as something you are. We'll reveal the final key to stabilizing your new timeline, so it doesn't just appear momentarily, but becomes your new normal. Stay close. The shift isn't ahead of you, it's already happening. Let's bring it home. Now you understand the quantum field doesn't respond to effort, it responds to coherence. It doesn't care what you say you want. It mirrors what you consistently are, and that shift, it isn't out there, it's within. Simpler than most dare to believe. So simple that the ego overlooks it, dismisses it, or tries to complicate it. But those who truly shift, who live new timelines, know this. The simplicity isn't deception, it's truth. And the reason few stabilize in their new reality isn't because they're doing it wrong, it's because they don't stay long. Enough in the signal that makes it real. So let's say it clearly. You don't quantum shift by doing more. You shift by aligning more. Cleanly, calmly, truthfully, you shift when you stop chasing the version of you that already exists and start being them. That doesn't mean pretending. It doesn't mean forcing. Joy when you feel grief. It means holding space for the full spectrum of your experience without collapsing your identity. That is emotional mastery. That is energetic maturity. That is what the quantum responds to. You're not here to chase the shift. You're here to embody the one who shifts with ease. And when you realize that, life stops being a pursuit and becomes a mirror. That's when you move through reality differently. Your energy enters before you do. You speak less, yet are heard more. You ask less, yet receive more. Not because you're manipulating the field, but because you are the field in harmony with itself. This is why true masters of manifestation don't teach methods. They transmit states. They help you feel something ancient already alive within you. They don't add, they reveal. So here's your invitation. Remember what you already are right now, in this moment. The timeline exists, the one where you are clear, calm, magnetic, and certain. Not because everything around you is perfect, but because you no longer outsource your frequency to circumstance. Let this be the shift that stabilizes. Let this be the signal you return to, again and again, not to perform, but to belong. And if you've made it here, you already know, this isn't just a video, it's a transmission. Something in you, subtle but unmistakable, has already begun to rearrange. If you felt it, if it resonated, if something clicked, subscribe now. Not just for the next video, but for the next version of you. This isn't just a channel, it's a frequency, and every subscriber is a signal to the field. I remember who I am. Welcome back. You've always been the shift. And now, the field knows it too.